Hot damn bonus. Caleb Shomo of Beartooth joins me now. Caleb, how you doing, man?
I am doing wonderful, dude. Absolutely outstanding. How about yourself, bud?
I'm all right. You look like you dropped some weight.
You know, been a pretty wild year and a half, but I'm feeling good, man. Yeah. Been doing a lot of work. Trying to get in shape, man. We got some stuff coming out and I want to be ready for it.
When you are locked in a studio or out on the road, are those good places to get healthy or bad places? It goes either way depending on the person.
For me, it's good. I think it gives me a little more routine and it gives me a little more ability to kind of just like build everything out. Yeah, it's been nice. You know, I've really been focusing like on the road, especially, you know, the show is just so very important to me. And, you know, it takes so much that I really need to be on my shit and prepared. And yeah, it's good. It's good for me.
And you're still a young man, but as each year goes on, you feel the creaks and cranks in your body each morning a little bit more.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, once I'm in my routine, it gets a little better. But, you know, back in the glory days, man, I could just go up and wail and, you know, get wasted and rage every night. And I was totally fine. And yeah, not the case anymore. I need to be a little more intentional with what I'm doing and stretching out and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But dude, I'm still ripping. I think I'm in, you know, better shape on stage than I've ever been, and it feels good.
Are there any maladies that you are more apt to have to deal with? For example, some drummers over the course of years have different parts of their bodies break down dependent on their style of play. Morgan Rose of Seven Dust plays over the top with his back, so his back is shot. You know, Max Weinberg at the E Street Band plays with his hands and his upper arms there, and so they're all shattered. What about you? Are there any things that you have to deal with now?
I'm really having to keep an eye on my ankles. So like I am running around and jumping around so much throughout the show. I mean, it might as well be like an hour and a half of jumping rope. So I'm very much trying to get ahead of, you know, stretching out. And I've noticed it was after COVID, when we took all that time off and then went back in the road, and I was just, you know, straight into going nuts without really warming anything up. Like it takes a toll on my ankles. So I'm trying to really make sure to do that, and my knees. I know that what I do is very stressful on them. So I'm trying to build those up and make sure I'm doing a lot of exercises to compensate and just keep that longevity, man. I want to just keep rocking forever.
One last health related question. You've obviously seen nothing more. Johnny Hawkins is always out there with bare feet, and I can't even watch it. It's too uncomfortable. I keep waiting for him to like lose a toe or something. How does a guy like that do it?
Dude, I don't know, man. That's just conditioning. I mean, that dude is, you want to talk about like being on shape and being on top of your shit. That dude is an absolute animal. I mean, I think one of the best in that sense to do it. But yeah, just no shirt, no shoes, and he's given all the service. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I cannot do that. I have to like, yeah, I'm up there in like running shoes and that whole 9 yards, man. But more power to him. It kicks ass.
Well, let's you and I talk about new music. Let's begin with Sunshine, and I don't want to sound like I'm being negative here, but it's just such a shame that the song couldn't start in a more intense manner.
Yeah,
it's like 0 to 900 like right out of the box, you know.
Exactly. There's no messing around with that song. I think it was really the perfect song to kind of like prepare people for the album. And I think it's all in, you know, along with Riptide before that, we've been incredibly intentional about how we're kind of preparing people for what's coming. And, you know, Sunshine, I think, was exposing, or sorry, Riptide, I think, was kind of showing people kind of the new side of myself with, you know, just what I've been working on and kind of, you know, lyrical direction and the things that I'm focusing on in my life. And then Sunshine, I think, is just kind of preparing people for a lot of the shock that this record is with the dynamics. You know, it is not a linear record by any sense. It's like there's so much high and low and intensity and softness and the whole spectrum of stuff to a degree that we've never done. So, you know, I think also with just trying to have some fun with it, starting it off with just mega intense vocals, and then, 30 seconds later, it's an acoustic thing with like beatboxing behind it. I think was a pretty good way to kind of break people into what's coming.
Now, is stuff in that style, like Sunshine and other things on the record, are they more of a challenge to play and then perhaps maybe a bit more fun to play?
Um, it's, I honestly was kind of nervous about Sunshine. We just started playing it on this tour, and we started rehearsing it while we were out in Europe, while we had our rig and we had long sound checks and we could kind of get used to it. And I was so nervous, but honestly, the way we've got it kind of set up and the way it goes live, it's great. I have a blast. And, still every time that singing part comes around, it's a little nerve wracking because it is just nothing but me and an acoustic, and I got to kind of nail it, but it's cool. It's so fun to play live, and it makes me so excited to like be getting out new music, and all the stuff I've been working so hard on is very exciting.
I suppose it's kind of cliche, but I think for the most part, it's just more fun to play newer stuff, isn't it?
100%. I mean, I will always love, like when we play the Lions, we've been playing that song for what, not 8 years, 9 years,
Yeah,
and
close to
I
10.
still love it. I still love it every time we play it. But there's just nothing like the excitement of a new song, and just the vibe on the stage. And we're still figuring it out, because the thing with those old songs is when you play them for years and years and hundreds of times, there's all these little nuances that happen that are only happen live. But like, okay, at this part I always grab Connor's left crash, I mute it for him, or at this part, him and Zach do this jam or this little thing, and then he's going to do this backup vocal, whatever. I feel like it's always cool to kind of watch the process of that create itself over a tour or over the course of however many tours with a new song. It's just always like such a fun part of touring, and it really does break up the monotony.
And I would think that there's a set amount of time, or hopefully a set amount of time to get the song down, but then for it to really live and breathe and take on a sort of a life of its own. That's the second part you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, when we were out, we're just going through that right now. It's like when we were out in Europe, was when we started rehearsing it, and it was very just like, let's just play the song exactly like the record and like make sure we can at least do that. And it's just slowly now over time a little more, I start hearing more, oh, there was a little dive bomb over there. There was like some pinch harmonics, and there's a little extra drum fill, and vocally, like I'm still finding where to kind of change melodies and get comfortable and like give it that live thing, because that is very important to us. We always want our live show to be alive and to be something completely different from the record. And obviously the records are just me. Live, I have this unbelievable band, and we get to really explore that. So it's been a blast.
When you're putting these tunes together, and I mean, the opening portion of Sunshine might be the best example we have. As you're laying this down, are you thinking, how am I going to do this live? Like, where am I going to breathe? Where am I going to,
I mean, it kind of is in the back of my mind, but honestly, for the most part, I usually just try and write the song. And I've found that, there's never too much to worry about, because I have, a lot of extra help on stage with vocals if I need it. All
Yeah.
of us are very, the band that I got up there is just world class. So if there's ever, like in Sunshine, for example, the chorus is very high, and it's a really like strenuous chorus to sing. So like things like, okay, the first one is like, well, obviously I got to sing that one, just me, and it's very intimate, and it's just me and the acoustic, and it's it's that thing. And then the next time the chorus comes around, it's like Achi's helping me out with some more of the leads. I'll take a low harmony on like this one line to kind of give myself a moment. How I deliver my kind of screaming performance for the song live, I'm like learning and figuring out. But yeah, I do think that's part of the fun, is just writing a song, and I'm not holding back anything when I'm writing that song. It's just whatever needs to happen to service that song is going to happen on the recording. And then live, it's like, well, this is our job, so let's figure out how to make it work. And it has so far every time. So that's good.
You and I have spoken at length before about your love of being a studio rat, which I mean as a compliment.
Oh, yeah.
Do you still get the sort of same satisfaction out of crafting a song, or is it different from when it was early on? How has that changed for you?
It's only gotten more satisfying over the years. I mean, I've just, I really, really, really take it seriously. And I want to just be putting out the best stuff that I can. And especially coming off Below, Below was such a like period piece of COVID, and it's just such a gnarly, like dark record. And I think it was very important that it happened the way it did. But this new album is just the complete opposite of that. Like what's happened in my life and the way I have evolved as a person and my own choices and changes I've gone through, and the way that's reflected the songwriting. It's just been like, it's just made me feel so proud of what I can do now versus what I've done before. I think it's very, very obvious how much, me kind of cleaning up and me focusing on my love of music being first and foremost before anything in my life. It really shows on this new record, if I do say so myself, and so, yeah, over the years, it's definitely grown.
I'd like to go to something that isn't entirely you, and it's the version of "Cut the Line" that you did with
Yeah.
Papa Roach. Jacoby gave me some great stories about your work on it. Tell me about how you were contacted and how you laid down your portion for that version of the song.
I mean, I remember getting a call from Tom, my manager, and he was just like, "Hey, you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, 100%." He told me the song, and then I called Jacoby and was just like, "What do you want to do? Like, what do you want from me, man? I'm all in. You name it, you say it, I'm there." And he gave me the coolest answer ever. He was just like, "You do you. Like, I want you to be on this, so you can be yourself." And so we just at length, had a long discussion about what the song means and what he wrote it about and all the story behind it, which is unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
it really is an incredible story, and the song is amazing. So like, I felt like I really just had to do justice to it lyrically. And yeah, it was a really cool process. I did it at home with complete freedom. It was just like, in the original version, I kind of left the bridge open for somebody to fill in, and do their thing later, and you're gonna really fit it. So honestly, when I approached it, I just approached it as a Papa Roach fan, and I wanted to just do justice to what they do and their sound and how they've influenced me. And yeah, I don't know, it turned out really, really cool. And I mean, just an absolute honor to be on that song. And we just went number one. And I mean, I'm pinching myself still every time I talk about it or think about it. Like, never in my life, if I would have told myself, you know, 15 years ago, you're gonna be on a Papa Roach song that goes number one, I would just tell you you're absolutely out of your mind. And yeah, they're the best. They really are, in my opinion, the epitome of how to have a long career as a heavy band. They still are live without a doubt. I mean, one of the best rock shows, metal shows, whatever you want to call it. They just go so hard. They care so much. And I mean, I could talk about how great Papa Roach is for an hour. They're amazing. But yeah, an honor is an understatement.
Yeah, Jacoby is one of those artists I often kid. He's not really a human being as much as he is a force of nature.
Yes.
When you get around somebody like that, somebody who's been doing it for a very long time, who's very good at what they do, along with watching a performance just for the enjoyment because you love the songs, what are you watching for? What are you trying to learn to make yourself better? Not copy per se, but things that you can learn to make yourself a better front man.
How he's able, there's so much nuance to being to being able to put on a show for that long with that much energy. I mean, I think first and foremost is just putting in the work. You know, seeing that dude is always out going on runs, and he takes his health very seriously. And, you know, I think he was one of the reasons I quit boozing, you know, like seeing him do his thing, and, you know, hearing him talk about his kind of journey with it. And, you know, there were a lot of singers that you know, I kind of realized that whole, like, you know, like there's only one Lemmy, and I am not Lemmy, and I had to accept that, and, you know, and that's cool. And, you know, I had my time. I had a lot of fun partying through my 20s, but, you know, and now I'm getting a little older. I wanted to rock a little harder, and for me, that was a big change. But watching him do that, seeing how he preps for the show, just off tour, I think was super influential on me. How he paces the show, and, like, I don't know, the whole thing is just a clinic. I mean, it's a clinic on how to keep putting on an absolutely killer kick-ass show the older you get. Like, definition of age is a number, you know. It really is incredible. But yeah, it's just watching the whole thing. There's so many little things that I've picked up on and, you know, used in my own show.
And have you guys had a chance to exchange performances on stage yet with the tune? I know he had said he really wanted it to happen. So you with P Roach, or Jacoby with Beartooth, anything yet?
Nothing yet. I mean, we unfortunately, just schedule wise, you know, I've been so slammed with all my work and touring and finishing this album and so much, and then they are doing the same. You know, they're a really hardworking band, and they're always busy. So yeah, I haven't really been able to line up to actually do a gig. But I don't know. You know, I would love to, like, put this in the air and make it a reality. But we've been talking. There's always conversations about us doing a tour, and I think that is the dream for me, especially after this song. You know, we've wanted to support Papa Roach for so long now, and yeah. So hopefully I can kind of manifest that and throw that in the air out here, but that would be incredible.
Well, maybe for the spring of next year. By then, I'm assuming the full record will be out. And if you would give me a rundown of everything you can tell me that I don't know already about the forthcoming new Beartooth record, where you did it, how much have you got, when are we getting it? Just tell me everything.
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you as much as, you know, I mean, it is fully finished, turned in. I've been working on it for a very long time.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
started working on it. Riptide was the first song I did for it. And obviously that's been out for a long time now, like 8-9 months. You know, the first, like, real intense writing session specifically for it was in late February, early March of 22. Went out to Los Angeles, and Sunshine was the first song I wrote out there. You know, I can't even, it's so hard to, like, put into words what it is. I think it's just one of those things that until people hear it, they're not really going to get it. But it is very much a record for the people who have been following the story. And, you know, like I've kind of talked about, like, I've tried to make it intentionally for, you know, a long time now, that these first 5 albums are kind of like one big story, and the story of my 20s. And it's all very linear, and the way it ends is amazing. I don't know, it's crazy to have, like, a happy ending to it. But the theme of the album as a whole is definitely a lot more hopeful. You know, it was written during and after, you know, me really making all those big changes in my life and focusing on, you know, like, mental health and physical health and all of that. And it's just manifested into a super unique record, and did most of it in Los Angeles, did a lot of it on tour, mixed it kind of in Los Angeles and New York. I mastered it at the Hit Factory, like, finished the mix and master there not too long ago. Just went out and did a whole, like, label showcase for it, where brought him out and explained the record, and, you know, played it for him. And we just have so many cool things coming up. I just cannot wait. Cannot wait.
One last thing about the record, and it's one of my favorite things to ask artists about. Tell me about sequencing it, because boy, oh boy, if there's places where artists, management, labels can all get together and then start fucking arguing about stuff, it's about
dude.
sequencing a record.
Absolutely. So I will say this one was actually really cool. It was very simple. There were certain things going into this record that I knew I wanted to do. And I knew was important to the sequence. And honestly, in the sequence, it kind of there's just a whole story. It's just of my last about 14, 15 months of my life, maybe 16 now. It's just that. It's just explaining those emotions and those feelings throughout the songs, and through the highs and the lows. It's like the beginning of the record is kind of trying to captivate these extreme highs of when I like quit drinking, and all my chemicals are realigning, and all of my body is kind of like starting to work better again, and all this stuff. I went on this I had this 3-month like crazy high that I was on because of that. And that's kind of how it starts. And then, in the middle of the record it's kind of about that leveling out and having to deal with some really big things that happened in my life, and, dealing with the loss of somebody very important to me. And, I discuss that. And then it kind of wraps up at the end with, I don't really want to give away the ending, but it's just not, I don't think it's at all what people would expect out of a Beartooth record in a very good way. And I've never been more proud of any piece of work I've ever done. And, I hope this isn't the case, but like, I think there's a chance this is the best record I'll ever write. And that's not to slight myself, but I just mean with my circumstances that I've been going through. And like, this last year has been the most pivotal year of my entire life, even aside from all of the things I've done in my musical career and whatnot. Just for me personally, like but honestly, during Below and that kind of era, and even before that, like I always kind of had in the back of my mind, I'm probably going to be dead in my mid-30s, late 30s of either suicide or alcohol related, or I don't really know, but I just had I didn't have any self-love. And, that has all completely shifted. And there's been a lot of work that went into that. And getting to explain that on a record just made for this incredibly unique thing. And, obviously I hope it is not, I think I'm only getting started, but I think that it is a completely different animal, 100% different animal. Obviously it's still a Beartooth record and it's still me, but this is just, kind of like me showing the world what I'm fucking capable of. And I'm very proud of it.
Well, I'm very happy for you. I can't wait for the rest of the record. And I think this is probably one of the best illustrations about the good things that can come out of getting one's life straight. Because if nothing else, you're not hungover for the first half of the day, so you can get up and start doing cool shit right out of bed, right?
Dude, for real. I'm telling you, not being hungover is a superpower, man. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I had a fucking blast in my 20s, man, but it is very eye-opening not being hungover for the first, 4 hours of the day.
Well, Caleb, before I let you go, you have to promise to pull out your phone wherever you put your notes and write down the words, "Not being hungover is a fucking superpower, man." That is an opening lyric. You write that one down, put that away. I'll look forward to hearing that maybe in like 2025 or 2026 in a song.
Hell yeah, dude.
There's the one you open the next record with.
For sure.
That's the introductory albums that will cover your 30s. That's the opening line. There it is. It's all set.
Stat. You saw it here right on fucking Lou Brutus.
Caleb, it's always great to speak music with you and appreciate your time.
Thank you, bud. Same to you.